सुरासुरस्य वितपादपङ्कजा करे विराजत कमनीय पुस्तका विरिञ्चि पुत्री कमलासनस्थिता सरस्वती नृत्यतु वाचि मे सदा सरस्वती नृत्यतु वाचि मे सदा Sri Saraswatyai Namaha. It's truly a delight to be able to join you from, I'm actually in London, England at the moment. And it's a day that I really get the excitement that you all have because it comes from the fulfillment, that fulfillment that you feel when you've actually achieved something great. And let me tell you, what you students have achieved over the course of your studies there at the Dharma Center is phenomenal. And so, Rukmani Mami, Aparna Mataji, Acharya Sri Rupesh Ji, Sri Murli Shankar Shastri Ji, Vijay Kumar Ji, obviously, the parents and those trustees and committee members of the Mandir that wholeheartedly support this project. If anyone is deserving of Parameshwar's Anugraha, it is definitely all of you. So thank you and congratulations to everyone that have participated in something that I think is really important. There's much that we could discuss today, and I could go through various different issues. But I think if I do a summary, a quick summary of a few shlokas that I learned myself when I went to Mandir as a young child, and just how that plays into my journey. Hopefully, it might be useful for you in your journeys. We all talk about journeys in the US, right? So, quite honestly, when I went to school, I loved it for one reason, and not really for the other reason. The one reason I loved it was because my friends were in my class. The reason that I didn't love it so much was because I had to study. I had the best times with my friends, and we would look forward, rather than studying, to look forward to the bell, that bell that rings at the end of the class, because at that moment you can leave the classroom and go and play with your friends, hang out, talk about different things. But I think it was really my mother that made me study. At one point, when you guys have Xboxes now, right? Back in the day, when I was a kid, we had Nintendos. And when that Nintendo was invented, my sister and I would sit there playing all the games that you can imagine. One day, my mother got so fed up with us, she said, all right, no dinner until you finish your homework. That's what she had to resort to because we were so naughty. We're trying to, just enjoy our time. But growing up in London, there was a lot to do. I used to go to karate, I used to go to swimming classes. When we were off, I would go to, the arcade and play games with my friends. But there was one thing I used to do because Mom used to take us, and actually I used to like it, and that was to go to the mandir. I mean, after spending a week with people, my friends even, that didn't look like me, we got on very well because we were good friends, but because they were not from our background, every time I would have to explain, what is this rice dish I'm eating? Why do we say this? Why do our parents dress like this? That whole thing becomes tiring after a while. So when I went to the mandir, it was nice to be with people that looked like me, that spoke like me, that enjoyed the same foods as me. And just like me, they couldn't wait for puja to finish with the arati so that we could run downstairs, get the prasadam, and have a great day. There was something, though, that was interesting. As the Sunday classes went on at the mandir, I actually started liking them. And it was showing in my own schoolwork as well. I would say that there were a few things that contributed to it. And one of the main things was these shlokas. So London, the place where I grew up, is a place of contrasts. And just like DC, just like Maryland, just like Virginia, where you guys are, some places in London were nice, some places were not so nice. Some people were happy, some people were not so happy. Some people were very kind, most people were not very kind. It seems that even in our own Hindu families, people had forgotten that the whole point of being a human being is to be compassionate, to have kindness for everybody. That piece, I think that my own family even at some point had forgotten. So the first shlok that we ended up learning in the Sunday school was Yesham na vidyang na tapo na dhanam, jnanam na shilam na guno na dharma, Te mrityu-loke bhuvi-bhara-bhuta manushya-rupena mrigascharanti. I don't know if you've learned this shlokam yet, but I learned it from Bhartrihari's Niti Shataka. It says, for those people who don't have education or no desire to learn, rather, for those people who are not willing to put in the effort, for those people who are not willing to share what they have, for those people who are not really worried about becoming better human beings, those people are actually like a burden to Mother Earth. They are simply animals in human clothing. And I thought, that's an interesting concept. Could we change people who are wearing these animals just wearing human clothes? I didn't think so. When I would try to talk to my friends, we would talk a little bit about, oh yeah, the world is a bit rough, blah, 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 people should be better. But after 2 minutes, we would talk about Manchester United's latest victory. I don't know if you guys follow soccer, but Manchester United is a very famous team in the United Kingdom. Something happened that woke me up to a truth about how the world works. When I was about 14 or 15, I was talking about the need to my friends, for us to save the environment. You guys have, tried to save the environment a little bit, I hope. But nobody would listen, right? I used to tell people, turn off the water after you've used it, turn off the, the electricity once you've left the room. But my friends were like, in Hindi, they would tell me, baskar, stop it, enough. But when Leonardo DiCaprio's video called Cowspiracy, I don't know if you've ever looked it up, it's on Netflix. Look it up. Cowspiracy is an interesting video. When that one came out, suddenly everybody was talking about, oh, we should become vegetarian, we need to save the planet, da-da-da-da-da. I knew I could never create that kind of change myself. And I let go of my feeling of hurt that nobody listened to me. And instead, I started to wonder why people didn't listen. There are various answers. Number one, obviously, I did not know as much as the video knew, right? The people who put together research, they had done a thorough job. And I did not have the ability to make a video like they did. More importantly, I didn't have other people that were interested in the same thing. It was that same Sunday that a shloka came up in the mandir that answered all of these questions, and you guys know it. So if you do, say it with me. It's from chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. Yadyadacharati sreshthas tattad devetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. This was like the clinching thing that taught me what the entire world was working, right? People only follow other successful people, right? So people would only listen to successful people. And I thought, okay, so all I had to do, therefore, was become a successful person. And when you think about success, what do you think of? You think about fame, you think about lots of money, you think about big house or nice cars or going on holidays often. That sounds like success these days. But I had a little inkling that this was not the biggest wealth. You know what the biggest wealth is? Na choraharyam, na charajaharyam, न भ्रातृभाज्यम न च भारकारी व्यये कृते वर्धत एव नित्यम विद्याधनम सर्वधन प्रधानम. We know that this wealth, that is knowledge, cannot be taken away by anybody or anything. And the more we use our knowledge, the greater it becomes. Much later, and I'll tell you this in the way of wrapping up, much later, when I was about to go to university, one of my friends pulled me aside. And they said, I really like you because you're you're a good student, you've got good grades, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to be your friend anymore. I said, what? Why don't you want to be my friend anymore? He says, well, that's the thing. You think you know everything. You think you have an answer for everything. You're very egotistical. And I thought, he's just jealous. So we were no longer friends. It was that very same Sunday following that, when I was at the mandir, there was another shloka that we learned. You must know this, it's from Hitopadesha, and Hitopadesha is one of those, treasure troves. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayadyati patratam, patratvad dhanam apnoti dhanad dharmam tadas sukham, We know this, right? It means that true knowledge gives us humility. When you become humble, you develop in capability. When you become capable, obviously you're going to achieve what you set out to. And from achieving what you set out to, you will become happy. So I redoubled my efforts. Do you guys know the Vidyarthi Panchalakshana? You know the 5 qualities of a good student? Do you know what they are? Yes? No? Maybe? You know, the animals are a good one in this one. So, Kaka Cheshta, Bakot Dhyanam, Shwan Nidrat Thaivacha, Alpahari, Grahatyagi, Vidyarthi Panchalakshana. You know what the crow is? You know that big black bird, the crow? Kaka Cheshta, he waits patiently for us to stop moving. And as soon as we've stopped moving or we've emptied the area, the crow will descend on the leftover payasam and will gobble up all of the leftover payasam if you lift it outside. Bhagavad Dhyanam. Have you ever seen the Indian crane, that white bird? It focuses intently on what it wants to achieve before it goes for it. Now, most of us know that our friends have dogs, right? Have you ever seen a dog when it's sleeping? If you make noise to the dog, what does the dog do? Right? It does exactly like that. And then after looking around, making sure everything's okay, it goes back to sleep. But then another noise, it's up and it's looking again. So we should be able to, when we say sleep, obviously I'm telling you, must get your good 6.5 hours sleep every night. But you shouldn't turn into that person that is sleeping all the time. What is being referred to is being lazy. We shouldn't be lazy when it comes to life as a student. Alpahari Tyagi Vidyarthi Panchalakshana. We shouldn't get too comfortable. You know those days when you've been at home in the holidays for so long, you've been able to do what you want to do, but next day is school. It's like, oh, Mom, I don't want to go to school today. Well, those things, we should learn to control it. And alpahari means you're looking after your body as well, not just playing video games, but you're outside exercising, all of those good things. I tried my best with that. There were some days when I was good at it, some days not so much. And I realized that I needed to try to become better, so I read all of these books that everybody was telling me to read, books and books and books, but actually I find it didn't talk to me. There was another shlok from the Sunday class that helped me to learn how to actually progress as a good student, but also as a good person. Acharyat padamadatte padam shishya sumedhaya padam sab brahmacharibhya padah kalena pathyate. We learn a quarter of everything from our teachers, but we also, the next quarter we learn is from our own intelligence. If we sit there and we think about what teacher has said, then we learn. The third quarter we learn from discussing with our students and our friends at school, or our friends in class when you're at the mandir. And finally, even though when things don't make sense, give it some time. Kalena pathyate. With a little bit of time, you will understand it. And so, that was my journey as a student. And the final piece that I ask everybody all the time to remember, that the only goal of knowledge is empathy. If we can become humble, if we can try to listen what other people think, but more importantly, try to feel what other people think, we will be able to do what our Dharma asks us to do. Because at the end of the day, what does the Dharma teach us? Everybody is Atma, right? If everybody is Atma, and we want to become successful, that should mean we want to become successful to help other people, not to show off to other people that we are the best. You know, that is not why we engage. As Hindus, we should not engage in education to show off. I'm the best. I got 99%. Yeah, get the 99%. But once you've got the 99%, turn to your classmate who maybe have got 60%, and you say to them, you know, next time we have an exam, come and study with me. Right? In that way, you help everybody to achieve the best. So finally, in summary, study to become the best, not for selfish reasons. Study to become aware of who you are, of other people, and how we are all connected. Study to learn how to serve others selflessly so that we can help other people not to suffer. Always strive to be humble and compassionate. And we remember that verse from the Taittiriya Upanishad that we normally read after graduation, you know, this te yatha tatra vartayan tatha tatra vartetha esha adesha. That last piece of the Upanishad says that if you're ever confused about how to go on in life, about what you should be doing at any circumstance, if one person can't answer you, don't think that there's no answer. Find people who are kind and humble and see how they would approach the subject. Then you will always find a way to progress. So my students, I want to congratulate you all and wish you the best as you continue your studies both at school and at SSVT in the Dharma education program, because I know that you will be people in the future that everyone else will want to turn to in order to try and solve the problems of the world, and also to learn how to be happy, kind and compassionate people. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.